So, coming from TechCrunch, if you use Google, you're training its AI. So, yes, we have gotten to this phase of the AI revolution where none of your data is secure. If you submit your data to any of these AI companies, you should expect that in the future it's going to be used to train their models. Now I know what have we heard over the past number of years, right? Past number of years, we've heard from these AI companies, they're not going to use your data to train their models. They understand what a privacy concern that is. The problem that we run into, as we've seen many times with big tech in Silicon Valley, is that they have realized that actually they kind of sort of need your data. Right, basically with these models that have been created at this point in time, they have scraped the entire internet in order to get information to train the models. They have scraped their internal, corporate libraries, knowledge bases of data in order to train their models. They're spying on their own employees to train their models. And what they're finding out is there is just not enough data to train their models. They simply need more and more and more data to train their models. And so what they're realizing is, hey, look, there is a whole trove of data that they could use if they just simply changed the rules. And so it looks like with Google right now that they are changing the rules on training their models with your data. And so this could be a concerning thing going into the future, especially with just simply how ubiquitous Google is. Like with some of these other services, when you use OpenAI, you know you're using an AI service. When you're using Anthropic, you know you're using an AI service. I think one of the kind of interesting things is with Google is that there's AI functionality that's being put into products that you may have been using for up to 20 years at this point, right? So you have a workflow, you have a way of doing things, and this is just how you do it. So basically, when Google, slots in this new set of AI functionality, that makes a product that you've been using for a while all the better, right? So hey, this is great. And you may not even think about it when they change the rules on how they use your data and where that can cause some issues, right? Think about this in the corporate world. If I'm told by my IT department that I have to use, the corporate approved artificial intelligence services, right? I'm not anti-authority. I'm not one of those anti-authority people. I'm not, right? You tell me what to do, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna do it, right? Anyways, but the interesting thing to think about is again, I don't think about Google as an AI service, right? I think about it as like a querying service, a questioning service, an answering service, that type of deal. And when you think about like regulatory concerns and other things, how easy would it be to put some kind of corporate information into essentially a Google query to try to quickly figure out what an answer is, right? You get some report from the managers. You're sitting there. You're just looking at a lot of numbers, right? And you're not trying to create a workflow. You're not trying to create a finished report that's going to go to your subordinates or go to your executives. You're just trying to figure out what the hell these numbers mean. And so, Matt, you're just sitting there, you look at Google, like, okay, you go to Google, you upload the PDF, and you say, hey, Google, what does this mean? Right? Because you're just trying to get your head around what these numbers look like. Again, very, very simple. You get the information back. This is what, oh, okay, that's what it means. And then you go back to your PDF and then you do whatever it is you want to do. You use the internal AI systems, you use the approved systems to go further. But something to think about now, if you uploaded that PDF to Google, Google can now train off of that PDF. Now imagine you have a company of 1,000 employees or 10,000 employees or hundreds of thousands of employees. And we talk about things in the technology world, you always got to think about it at scale because one-offs don't matter. Eli, one executive uploads one PDF to Google. You're acting like it's the end of the world. No, one executive uploads one PDF to Google, probably doesn't matter. But think about this. Think about if each one of your employees uploads one document per week, right? And that's probably pretty low. It's probably pretty conservative up into Google. And then Google is trading off that. What if you have 150,000 employees that all upload to Google one proprietary document per week? How long before a metric crap ton of your proprietary information is now sitting in Google's AI LLMs and that type of thing? I think that is where this kind of thing it's scary. It's so easy to think about it on the one-off, but when you start thinking about it at scale, I think it can get pretty ugly out there. A recent change in Google's privacy settings, and this is the other interesting thing too with this, right? This is what we get out of the Facebook world. One of the reasons I talk about Mark Zuckerberg with the rapist mentality. He will get what he wants, right? You need to say yes. All he's trying to figure out is how to get you to say yes. And if he has to metaphorically roofie you in order to get to the yes, he is willing to do it. I think this is one of the big issues that we're having right now with these big technology companies is how easy it is for them to change privacy settings and policies. Think about it. You have been using Google for years. At this point in time, it's 2026. You may have been using Google for decades. They change things. One, you may not realize that it's changed because you've been fine with it. Or two, even if you realize it's changed, how easy is it to migrate off their kind of systems? Recent change in Google's privacy settings is allowing the company to store more of your data, including media such as images, files, and audio and video recordings to improve its AI models. So again, this is for the AI models themselves. We go down here. Google confirms the media training used directly, stating in that email to customers, quote, like your search service history, your saved media is also used to develop and improve Google services and technologies, including AI models and safety measures. So really think about that, right? This isn't guardrails. This isn't like, oh, okay, you're going to put that query up there. So we're going to try to figure out how to create some guardrails or something outside of the model. Or we're going to figure out what you're asking for. And so we're going to create kind of some subroutines outside the model. So they're literally saying that they're going to be training their models based off of your data. Its help documentation echoes this, noting the company, quote, uses your history to provide, develop, and improve its services, such as training generative AI models, and to protect Google, its users, and the public with help of human reviewers. Some of this storage is temporary and tied to making the product a work, but per Google's own language, saved media can also be retained specifically to train its AI. So you put stuff up there, and Google is basically going to be able to own it forever, put it into its AI services, and away you go. Yeah. I mean, this is where it all goes. This is all where it all goes for all of these technology revolutions, right? It starts good. It seems good. It's like, wow, this is a pretty useful tool. It's either free or it's inexpensive. They protect my privacy rights. There is no reason that I should not use this technology. And then the price starts going up. And you're like, well, but I've been using it for a little while. So, and it does a good enough job. Okay, I'll start paying the price or whatever else. And then they start encroaching. They start encroaching on privacy rights. They start encroaching on other things. They start changing settings. They start defaulting you into options. So a brand new thing that they're doing, and then they default you in to this thing you may not even realize that they started doing. And that's the path we are on with artificial intelligence at this point in time. And this is one of the reasons that I would argue, I think, for a lot of organizations that they really need to start thinking about running their own AI in-house, because you fundamentally cannot trust these big technology companies. I know when I say this, it sounds snarky and it sounds like I'm a revolutionary or whatever else. It's just simply true that Silicon Valley big tech, these are the worst human beings on the planet. These are horrible human beings that have simply monopolized the keystones to modern society. Right? They've gone in, they figured out the most valuable components of modern society, what modern society needs, and then they monopolize that, right? And they are horrible, horrible, horrible people. And what you have to be thinking about is, do you want horrible people in control of the systems that are going to be integral to how everything in your organization works? Think about this with the intelligence services. I've talked about this with OpenAI, right? Sam Altman wants OpenAI to be a utility. Basically, all intelligence would go through something like OpenAI. So human resources decisions, coding decisions, legal decisions, marketing decisions. Hell, who knows? At the company canteen, maybe what food is served on Fridays to make the employees a little bit happier, right? All that entire decision layer is supposed to go to a company like OpenAI. And as I've said many times before with Sam Altman, right? We've heard about how manipulative he is. We've heard about how deceitful he is. We've heard from Dario that he could not tolerate working with such an amoral, unethical, miserable creature of a person, right? We've heard about the lawsuit, right? I bring up Sam Altman's sister suing him, and you can do the Google search for why she's suing him, right? But I bring that up, and when you look at that compared to all the traits that we see he has, is that the type of person you trust to be running the core systems that your entire organization is going to depend on? Right? That's a problem, right? That's where we look at with Mark Zuckerberg, right? Mark Zuckerberg, I've been talking about this whole rapist mentality for a decade at this point in time, right? With things like privacy rules and all that kind of thing. And now he wants to create corporate software. He wants to create corporate AI software. Look at what he's done with Facebook. Look at what he's done with Instagram. Look at how he has tried to rip away people's privacy, even when they said no. This is not what we want. This is not what we agree to. We are saying no, and he doesn't care. He doesn't care. Again, remember one of the executives when the massacre was going on with the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar? Remember, literally, an executive for Meta says, well, sometimes you have to crack some eggs. The Rohingya Muslims getting massacred in Myanmar were just a couple of eggs that had to be cracked so that he could get his blood money and bonuses. You look at Google now. Again, Google is so integral to so many things that people are doing. And you see them change privacy settings and all that kind of thing. And one of the things you have to be thinking about as a CIO, as a CTO in the modern world is, do you have the risk tolerance for this? Do you have the risk tolerance to trust the worst people on the planet with control over the systems that are absolutely integral to your organization? And so I think that's going to be one of the big pushes for deploying more and more local, right? We talked about this before with Cisco. Cisco is deploying their own AI agents and AI systems to their 90,000 employees, and apparently that's all local. That's all internal. We see this with the Chinese models. One of the reasons the Chinese models are so popular is that they're open source. You can run them internally, and I think a lot of companies have really got to start thinking about this. Can you trust these people? If that's what Sam Altman is willing to do to his little fucking sister, imagine what he's willing to do to your company. Can you trust that? And to be clear with Sam Altman, I don't know what he did or did not do. I just simply know what was going through the court system. You can make your own decision there. So what do you think about this? What do you think about Google? Again, being able to train their models off of the information that you now provide, right? Not simply saving as preferences or whatever else, literally being able to train the models. What do you think about this at scale? Think about your company. You got 100, 150,000 people. Even if they all only upload one document per week, that's it, to Google for whatever reason. Again, little one-off things. That's the whole thing. It's just one-off. No. I'll use the system. I'll use the normal system for when I'm doing real work. This is just a one-off thing, right? Imagine you have 100,000 employees one-offing once per week. Again, over a year, over a decade. How much of your information leaks out? Can you tolerate that risk? Anywho, put your thoughts What are your thoughts down below? If you like these episodes, do remember they're on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Link is down below. Also, if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, there's a link down there too. With that, see y'all later.